Hi everyone, you're listening to the Vialucci podcast, uncensored and completely unedited discussions about life and everything in it. We hope you enjoy the show.
You've been down the pawnbrokers. What's all this?
No, because you always berate me to take my watch off.
Oh, right, yeah. Is this your
jewellery?
Is this your Freemasons ring?
No, that's a ring from Malta, actually.
What does it signify?
It signifies that I went to Malta.
No, but what?
So that is the St. John's Cross, which is the thing
I
of
thought
Malta.
recognised it.
When you combine it with the other four, it
Yeah, exactly. I become the Megazord, or something.
And do these signify anything?
No, that was just also on my pinky. So I was thinking that if I
It's
put
just
my
an
hands
affectation. What's this one?
down, which is like
That's
as in all
a watch,
jewelry.
yeah.
Is this
That's
a
a
Rolex?
No, it's Omega. I should have said it like James Bond does in Casino Royale, isn't it? There's a really cringe, because there's always product placement in those Bond films.
Are they still doing it even now?
Yeah, I did see No Time
What's
to
the
Die.
car?
I can't
Aston
recall.
Martin.
Aston Martin
Oh,
is
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a go-to watch that he wears?
and a
Rolex.
phone as well, usually.
I'm not a phone.
Even like even the Avengers movies, even the last Avengers movie had like
Really?
product placement, and that's like they know that's going to make bank. You know what I mean? It's like, do they? But then that does just pay for an action scene. That pays for an action scene, basically.
What was the product placement in Avengers?
There was a couple of car things. Wasn't
Cars,
there? I
as
think
you quite call them.
Tony Stark was driving around in. I can't even remember what it is. I think it's Lexus or something.
But it's also so that then they can use it for their advert. That's what essentially they're paying for. So because it's very expensive to have Robert Downey Jr. be in your advert, you pay, Marvel, and you get a clip from the film, and then that car pulls up to a drive, but it's not Robert Downey. It's blacked out windows.
But I mean, it is an advert. It's in there for. It's just a different. Oh God. So James Bond's even still doing. That's not very classy.
No,
is
but
it?
he's been doing that since the year dark.
I watched. This is obviously the really important thing. I watched the new Home Alone movie.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Because I heard it was terrible.
Yeah.
That's why I watched it.
Is there a bit part of like Macaulay Culkin?
There is a mention. There's a mention.
I was going to say, right.
There's a mention. Luckily, he didn't do that. I'm glad he didn't, because it was terrible. They actually had the older brother
As a
in
cop,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah, as a policeman.
Is it a remake of the first film, or is it like a next 20 years later sort of thing?
It's an English kid.
Oh right.
In
Wait,
a-
is it
in
just a
house.
remake?
Yeah, I mean,
It's not like the prequel or the.
No, but it's a soft reboot. So it's set in the world of in
the
the Home
universe.
Alone universe, cinematic universe, but it is not.
I'd heard they were doing it. I didn't know it's done.
Yeah.
I thought they were just talking about maybe they might film it.
But I don't think it takes very long to film it. When
It's
you've
just
got,
called
like,
Home
It did
Alone.
not. It did quite. Obviously, they filmed that in a week. Like
Yeah.
it was really budget. It was terrible, and so I recommend everyone to watch it, because it was so badly misjudged at the script level. Because the whole film is about this couple who believe that this shitty little kid has stolen their doll that ends up being worth $200,000. They're going to lose their home at Christmas,
Yeah.
and they're going to be homeless, and their kids are going to be out in the street. So in order to save their family and save their home, they try to break into this house to save this doll that they think this kid
So
stole.
the burglars are sort of goodies.
Are the good guys,
Oh,
and you
right.
feel and you feel
really?
real sympathy for
Yeah.
them. And then he starts setting fire to them, and you're like, just stop! I was at a point at the end. I was like, just stop hurting them, just stop it.
But
And
sorry.
So they're trying to be clever, like they're trying to. But how does that work?
It doesn't, and
Right.
it's so strange that it just got to that point of filming, and it has loads of people in. Like it has what's his name, the dean from Community. And like it has
Yeah,
loads of people from
whatever that
SNL,
means.
loads of people from SNL in it, and so it's got a decent comedic
Well,
talent.
Rob Delaney and Aisling B as well from England. They're the couple, aren't they?
Yeah.
Rob Delaney.
Yep.
And are the sort of burglars buffoons that fall down the stairs and all that?
Well, it's
Is it that
treated
sort of-
slapsticky comic, but I mean,
But how does that work if you feel guilty for the people that are trying to.
it doesn't, and that's why it's so
odd.
interesting.
I thought they were being clever and there's going to be a weird.
No,
Sort
because he's like firing, like there's a bit where he's firing like snooker balls at this dude's head, and I was just like, just please stop. I was like, and in the end, I'm like, you know what? I was like, just go back to your house, get a gun.
Where
and
does your
just shoot
sympathy
this
lay?
kid.
Oh,
I was like, just kill this kid. I hate this kid. He's annoying. He's awful. And I was like, at the end, I'm like, literally, just get it. I was like, just blam.
Who is the kid? Nobody you recognise?
I think he was in. I haven't seen it, but I recognised him from the trailer of Jojo Rabbit.
Was Donald Trump in this one? Did he do his bit part?
No,
He was in the last one.
Yes.
No, was it? Yeah, was he?
He was in number 2, but I think there's been
right.
about 7 Home Alone since then.
Oh, there has been other ones.
Yeah, there's been loads.
1, 2, 3, or just remakes.
I think
This is
3
the
and 4.
sixth?
Yeah. Oh, really?
I think this is the
Kerem, are you able to fact check how many Home Alone films there are for us?
This is an interesting
Kerem
podcast.
Kerem is our producer. By the way.
It was stunningly bad, really misjudged.
Was it is it a cinema film?
I think it's on Disney, isn't it?
It's on Disney Plus. I don't think it got a cinematic release. I think
this is the fifth one then.
Is it the fifth?
Oh, so this is the sixth one, blimey.
But the other one, how many is that a year? Every 3 years, something like that?
No, but I mean the first one was what, 93, something like that.
No,
it might be older than that. 90.
91.
Yeah, so it's like every 4 years.
He's really cool now, Macaulay Culkin. He's sort of emerged back into the.
Oh right. There's no sort of photograph of him holding up numbers as a junkie.
No, but he seems like, honestly, he's doing lots of stuff on YouTube, like with other big YouTube channels, and he seems like actually really
he got through,
nice and fun,
yeah.
And he's actually seems like a genuinely like nice guy.
Where did he come in? What side did he come down on with the Michael Jackson thing?
That he
or
never
did he stay in the middle.
I think he's just in. Nothing ever happened to me, and I never saw anything that made me think anything was going on.
Oh, you'd think like. Well, anyway,
that was that's his line. He's sticking to it. So,
yeah.
Have you seen any films recently?
I saw House of Gucci last night.
Oh,
film?
Yeah,
cinema or
cinema? Yeah,
online. Oh, really?
Had a good trailer.
Yeah, quite good.
Was it good?
Yeah,
I mean, it's turned up with all these affectations.
That's why I've got all the jewelry from. No one wore jewelry until they saw it.
Lady Gaga actually looked really good.
She was pretty good.
Yeah.
They're like it's one of those ones that's hard to judge because you sort of think you're this kind of very larger than life sort of personality. So you're like, I don't know how much of this is kind
was
of.
she
maybe
playing
overacted.
herself?
No, she was playing.
And she was an actress.
So it's based on a true story. I don't want to go into spoiler territory, but and it wasn't one that I was aware of. No. But it's based on the true story of sort of the power struggle within Gucci in the, I suppose, sort of 70s through to the 90s.
Is there a story there, or is the movie just a headline?
No, there's quite an interesting story there. It's very
modern day, or was it old, like happened in the 50s?
70s to 90s.
Oh, okay. They seem to behave like a mafia just from the trailer.
There is a little bit of element of the of the sort of. I mean, perhaps that's why Pacino's cast as well to put that.
He's in it.
Yeah, Pacino's in it.
And Adam Driver as well.
Yeah, Jared.
So who owns Gucci? Who is Gucci? What is there a man?
So it was founded by I believe the gentleman's name is Gucci, something like that.
Okay.
So in the
what you call it? I can't think.
I'm struggling to come up with the name of this company. So he
Gucci-son.
Gucci McGoochface.
Gooch clan.
So it was set up. I'm not sure when. I think pre World War II. I couldn't because they don't go through the whole history. And there's also Adam Driver's character Maurizio Gucci, who was the founder's grandson.
Yeah.
Says lots of things about the fact that all the history that they say about, we used to make leather for the kings of Naples or whatever. He's like, that's all crap. It's just my grandfather worked as a bellboy in Harrods or something like that and saw all the leather handbags and was like, rich people will buy leather handbags.
Yeah, you could just make up a Jackanory and say, because if you're sort of 90 years old, and you can just say, I used to make it for kings.
Yeah, how's the record going to go? But also, I mean, certainly in the now it's much easier to trace things, but in the 1920s.
No record, no video.
But that's how you end up. Yeah, you think you end up with people. You end up with a succession of women being like, "Yes, I'm Anastasia Romanoff," and
but in the war they burnt the bloody papers.
Yeah, exactly. There's no. I mean, I think most of the as a kind of side story, I think most of the women who did come through and said that they were Anastasia were proven to be liars or deluded or whatever because there is a blood there is a bloodline. Yeah, it was quite an interesting film. I knew nothing about it, so shockingly, I don't know a lot about high fashion.
When does the Christmas? What month? We're still in November.
Yes,
so the Christmas stuff hasn't started online.
What do you mean the Christmas stuff?
All
online?
The movies, the regular movies.
Well, Home Alone. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
They should play one up to the Christmas Eve. Play every one.
I'm sure if you're on the Hallmark channel, there's one every day.
Yeah. Oh God!
Yeah,
TV.
I watched
movies.
another Hallmark. I watched one the other day, and it had James Van Der Beek.
Oh, who's he?
Who is the tall, blonde streak of piss from
Dawson's
Creek.
I haven't seen any of these.
A touch unkind there.
Yeah, and he looked, and it had the mum from Everyone Loves Raymond.
Seen it.
And then a bunch of other people. It's a Hallmark film, so it's a bunch of other people who looked like other people.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like they do this. They go they had like a Mel Brooks type, a redhead lady from Buffy type. You know?
Those films are always the same. It's always either a man a recently widowed man moves with his young plucky daughter to some town and ends up falling in love. Ends up falling in love with the
neighbor. The kid gets them together.
They have like they start off bad, and it's a little bit screwballish, and then they end up getting together. But he maybe he's about to move back to the big city.
But he can't forget the wife, the previous wife. The kid has to get them together and trick them into being in the same room.
This time it was the mum from Everyone Loves Raymond, and she was an angel, it turned out. And James Van Der Beek looked so unhappy the whole way through. There was scenes, and he was supposed to be like in mourning, but everyone else was trying, and he just literally was turning, just going like, "Oh my god!" And there were some scenes where you could literally just see him just thinking, "What happened?" Like, what?
I used to have my own show that ran for like 10 years.
I used to be big, you know.
Now I'm just trying to pay the bill. There's a thing online that made me like, do you know that every now and again, like twice a year, the British public will come good and just say something that just works perfectly to slag somebody off. And so I haven't seen the film, but what was the Star Trek film with Ray, the girl in it, Ray?
Oh, Star Wars, and you mean?
And it was like one lot were all saying how amazing she was, and the other lot were saying no, she's ripped apart the whole thing of she's great and everyone else is useless. But somebody said, leave Ray alone, like the characters.
Leave Ray alone.
So saying, and they said, who else has suffered more than Ray? And somebody had just put the audience.
Bravo!
I thought, well done.
I don't think it was.
I wouldn't blame her. It's the writing. I think all those characters were completely.
All they were
I think
just
they're doing
saying
their best.
It was the politics of it all. They were saying no, you have to start from something and work your way up. You can't just be amazing at everything and beat everyone up. And you've got to have a weakness. But the thing is, with the politics of it, you can't have the female strong character with weaknesses. They have to be amazing from the start, and they have to save everyone, even though they didn't need saving in other films. And that was the whole thing of like, no, there's no arc here. It's just someone's amazing.
That's just poor writing.
Yeah,
I get it, but that is just poor writing because you don't have a character arc. You know, basically.
I thought the just trying to think of sort of contemporary female heroes. I thought the Hunger Games that had an interesting kind of story arc.
And people don't complain about that.
Yeah, I mean, but I think because it made sense.
Yeah, the films that people complain about aren't very good. Like people complained about the Ghostbusters film.
It was okay.
I didn't particularly like it.
The 2016 we're talking. Yeah.
But all these ones that people use as examples, it's just like, well, yeah, because that is a bit crap. You know what I mean? Like if it was a better film, then...
But it's funny how if you go back to what you'd think is a good arc for a woman, if you want to put it like so crudely, you think about like Linda Hamilton in Terminator, where it is like, I don't want this, I'm no good, I can't do that, and then they rise up. Or Sigourney Weaver in Alien.
I watched Aliens last night.
Has to be shown how to use a weapon because I don't know. And then, there's the arc. That's a strong female character. Not, I'm perfect, you can't do anything to me and I can beat everyone. Well,
there were a few things that were big, because again, it didn't make sense to that, for example, again, just going back to Katniss, because she's not like, oh, suddenly I just picked up a bow and I was naturally born. It's like, it's all part of built into the story because she lives in the shitty district where there's no food. So she's out in the forest foraging, killing things with her bow, hunting rabbits with her bow. I'm hunting rabbits.
So
it makes sense
to support her family.
Yeah.
Well. So I don't think there's a dad, is there? So.
No, there's the mother and the daughter, and that's who she stands in for. So you go, okay, so now she's got a strong drive to survive.
Yeah, and then the family dynamic she's doing to protect her family. She believes in her community and protect him.
And so it makes sense. Whereas Ray, some of the things, for example, they show her fighting with the stick, and there's the implication that that's probably not the first time she's had to defend herself from young ruffians. But it was like, so how does she know how to do Jedi mind tricks, and how does she know how to do
fly a spaceship? Yeah.
Well, maybe. I guess it was the whole.
But be a really good, competent pilot. It's fine if you're a bit rubbish. You got to be a bit rubbish at first. You know what I mean? And like,
well, they were mentioning Star Trek actually, and they were saying how. Again, I haven't seen a lot of these films, but it was in the older Star Trek with Kirk and all that. Even there wasn't a lot of emotions. People understood. Oh, they know to override their emotions with their role. But in the newer ones, everyone's emotion, everyone's chatting to everybody else. And you go, there's no sense of they're mature here. It's just a lot of emotional children.
Well, and also, I mean, they are like a semi-military organization. You know what I mean? They are a sort of hierarchy. So they have a command structure. You can't. Your captain, the commanding officer, isn't just going to go bananas. Well, if he did, it would be hugely unprofessional.
That's what they were saying.
Everyone would be like,
so and so's back chatting him and calling him a name and storming out. And you can't do that.
It's quite interesting. You watch because we think of probably, I think more because of William Shatner's persona, that we think like, oh, Star Trek was so joking, and it would have the little, particularly at the end of the episode, there'd always be like hey, that was horrible, and we had to use our phasers to eradicate 100,000 people. But anyhow,
they have a little chuckle, don't they?
Yeah, they have a little chuckle and fade to the credits. But actually, you watch, there's lots of him being a strict disciplinarian, following procedure. They do it more in the later films because that works for him being like, oh, I want to be. He's basically having a midlife crisis, and so he rebels. But actually, in the original Trek, he's a strict disciplinarian.
Same thing with Picard. Picard isn't friendly with people. Yeah. He obviously likes his crew, wants the best for them, but he's not mates with them, and he really isn't. He purposefully keeps his distance.
That's part of his story.
He doesn't join the card game. He doesn't because he's not supposed to, because he's a commanding officer.
And that's how they know he's at one point he's impersonated by an alien, because he joins in the card game. And then he goes to the bar and starts singing songs, drinking beer. Yeah. In fact, ales for everyone. And they're like, that's not him.
They were showing the younger characters in the newer films were like literally being told to do something and then sort of mouthing off at the captain and storming off. But they were like, it was embarrassing. But then they kept referencing the fact of when Spock died and Kirk had to do a speech at the end. And he said, even then, you know what it means to him, but his voice only quivers just once. But he knows.
Can't cry.
But he said now they'd be crying and tears would be coming down and
can't
hugs
cry in front of the men. Even when he was watching his friend die, literally in front of him, his best mate, he couldn't. He didn't want to show it.
Yeah, it's funny because when they play the scene and his voice just cracks at one point, but then he pulls it back and you go,
orders.
Yeah,
yeah.
Great stuff. There you go. Yeah. Is there more Star Trek films coming out? They're still knocking them out.
That is the question. So. There was meant to be, so we're talking about the J.J. Abrams verse, or the Kelvin timeline, if you're a nerd. So you had Star Trek, you had Star Trek Into Darkness, and then there was only a year or two between those two films, and then there was quite a big gap between Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond, and that was, I want to say 2014, it was quite a while ago, 15 maybe.
I think they're probably...
I think
they're too old now.
Well, yeah, possibly. I mean, but there was plans to be a fourth film. Beyond didn't do particularly well. It probably just about broke even at the box office, and then there was all this talk of how do we do this. In the meantime, Chris Pine's gone off to do Wonder Woman and become quite a big movie star outside of Star Trek. So he's obviously become quite expensive now, as have many of the other members of the cast. It's just been locked in limbo. At one point, they were going to have Chris Hemsworth back because he played Kirk's father in the prologue scene. Obviously, he's an Avenger, so he's also incredibly expensive. Because they were going to have a time travel story. Maybe they had that written down. They were like, "Oh, we'll bring that guy who played George Kirk," and then they're like, "Oh no,
what's he been up to lately?" Okay, right.
Whoops, and then cancel the drinks order, and then. There's all sorts, at one point Tarantino was writing a film. I think that was just publicity for them to entertain it, not that he did it.
I'm sure he's probably got an idea or a pitch or whatever. It's like what would you do? I'm sure he's got a pitch for everything.
What was Tarantino's last film?
That Once Upon a Time in America, I guess.
Was that it? So he must be due something out now. A few years ago, wasn't it? 3-4 years ago. Well, the COVID thing, you've got to ignore
I can't remember.
For nothing
else. I saw it at the cinema, I can't remember.
Because he released a book of it.
Oh, that was it, yeah.
So, as in a novelisation of it.
But how many films is he supposed to do? 10?
Something like that.
What's he on now?
I don't think anyone's going to hold him to it. If he wants to do 20, I think
that
4 years pass, he gets the itch.
Because there's all sorts of like, well, what is he? Because I don't think he's said that he counts Kill Bill as one film. Yeah. He doesn't count Four Rooms, which is fair enough because it is what's it called when it's a
series? It's like
4 people
vignettes or whatever.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, vignette. So it's he doesn't count that, which is fair enough because it's
basically a short film. It's like a slight long short film.
Yeah, it's all just set in a hotel. It's okay.
Yeah, Charles, you didn't change the date on the sign there.
On our clapperboard. No. Look at that. Let's cancel the show.
Well done, well done, Kerem. You've done well, son. See how confident he is now. Just interrupts the show.
Yeah.
No respect for authority. That's a modern producer there.
There's a fantastic clip. Talk about hierarchy and command structure. There's a fantastic clip with Data and Worf, where Data takes command of the
the
Enterprise. Star Trek again.
Yeah,
we're back to Star Trek. Always back to Star Trek. And Data takes command, and then Worf talks a bit out of line in front of everyone. He just goes, "Oh, finally, we've made a decision," and he's just like, "Okay." And he takes him into the office and gives him a talking to, and it's that scene. You watch it on YouTube.
Away from the crew, sort of thing.
Yeah. They have a private chat, and it's fantastic, and it's so well written. It's so wonderful, and it's sort of it's just great stuff. Yeah.
Star Trek, yeah.
But he says, you shouldn't have done that in front of the men, and this is very thing. Do you want to stand down? Should I get?
And what does he say about it?
He goes, "I'm terribly sorry. Of course, I shouldn't have done that."
Oh, he does.
And then Worf apologizes, and he says, and then he says,
"Oh, he's the Klingon." Yeah.
And then he says he's about to leave, and he says, "Mr. Worf, I'm sorry if this has ended our friendship." And he stops and says, "No, sir. I am sorry. I was so out of line."
Blimey.
And you're like, oh, great stuff.
And then they kiss.
No, but it's
like that nowadays.
It's just, and no one's shouting, no one's crying. It's just a calm conversation between two colleagues.
Are cinemas open now then?
For now.
Yeah, I mean, I went yesterday. So,
so is that, what about in cinemas? Do you have to wear a mask now?
No, there was nothing about that.
So just now we have to wear them in the shops and on underground.
I guess the thing with a cinema is if you're eating your popcorn and having your drink, you've got to lower the mask, pop in a popcorn, raise your mask, pop in it.
Yeah, when I've been in restaurants, you have to put the mask on while you stand there, walk 6 steps and then take it off.
Yeah, that one never made sense. But I think it's often for you've got to bear in mind it's for the staff as much as who are stuck there. So in the cinema, there aren't staff there.
Right.
And you generally got a bigger.
So you say in the cinema you have to put it on?
No.
Well,
people were wearing them in the lobbies and stuff, but then again, that's where you're buying your popcorn from the staff. That's where you're getting, you know what I mean? So I think that's why you put them on in the shops, is to protect, because the staff are there the whole time.
I need to get, I've tried it before. I want to get a manager of a cinema in to find out all the workings and the rules and what goes on and all the things. I just think it's an interesting place. I want to know about the food, why food's allowed in there.
Because that's how they make their money. That's how they make their money.
Every night I used to have to come in and with a rag and wipe the blood and the cum off the seats.
That's nice.
Yeah.
We're just going to move up. We're just pretend. Yeah, Kerem's going to hit the end show button.
I always think about the person behind the curtain. I think about the person cleaning, and just every time you go, these people are pigs. Like every bloody. Why couldn't you take that? Well, the sticky stuff.
No, God. In the cinema, it just put me in mind about all the people have to clean the grossest stuff. Can you imagine being it just popped into my head, the pool cleaner at the Playboy Mansion?
Yeah,
I'm sure they just these flamethrowers.
They just throw a match and light it.
Just get clean the whole.
What was I watching? What was it I was watching? Oh, the thing, the original thing.
Yeah.
And I might have got.
When you say the original, do you mean the black and white?
Film, no, sorry, not the original. The John Carpenter one.
Okay.
And I kept picking holes in it. I can't remember why I was picking holes in it.
You're just in a grumpy mood, were you?
No, but I just thought, why they shouldn't. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but you're watching it by knowing that it's an alien.
Why does nobody know where they are?
What do you mean?
In the John Carpenter's The Thing, it's like they're locked in. And you go, well, why don't they?
Oh, it's because
it's a research centre for God's sake.
It's I've forgotten his name. Wilford Brimley's character.
He trashes the radio.
Yeah, he trashes the radio early on.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want. Because at that point, he spoiler alert for a 40-year-old film. He later on becomes replaced by a thing or the thing.
You're talking about the guy who smashes everything up.
Yeah, the guy.
Yeah, but at the beginning of the film, why can't they get in contact?
Because they don't know that it's something to worry about. But it's once he studies.
No, but they're cut off, aren't they?
Yeah, because it's
not
but
from the
start.
They're
in the Antarctic, so no one can really reach them.
But at that point, they don't know that it's an alien contagion. It's when he looks at it and just realizes that it would only take one of them to get out.
No, I understand that bit, but I'm just saying from the start they seem to be cut off. You think, well, somebody must know where you are. It's not like you just.
They don't.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, eventually someone would probably come and check.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, like if you haven't heard from them for 6 months a year.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is that
and that is the other thing. I'm starting to jog my brain now, and it's only a little bit. But you think, aren't you supposed to be professionals because they're constantly drinking booze?
Yeah,
like everyone's drinking. Yeah, but you're supposed to be. You think of what a research centre would actually be like. It wouldn't just be this sort
I reckon it would be like
one's got his headphones on, not listening. When he pours the vodka into the computer, because it beats him. Just thinking, well, how much is that computer worth? You're really a professional.
Wasting vodka as well.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to, on a whim, blow up this computer.
But he's is it McCreary? That's Russell.
Yes, Russell.
Kurt Russell's character is McCreary, but he's not a research scientist. He's a pilot. He's just in inverted commas a pilot. So he's not a scientist. He's not.
And then there's the worst bit. I don't think anybody lets this go. It's the guy shooting the dog. That whole bit that you know, at the beginning of the film when they're trying to get it, where he says, "Aren't they like 80 miles from the nearest thing?" And you think, "What? You've been missing the dog. The dog knew to run to that location." From 80 miles away.
But it could be that the dog had a massive head start.
Right, and he's only just started shooting up.
It could be that the dog, it's a weird alien thing. It might be impervious to bullets. You could shoot it and it can reform and stuff. So you can just keep shooting.
Even if I forgive you all that.
You know what I mean?
The way he just turns up and starts doesn't like try and calm the situation down and then throws the grenade behind himself, which is the worst.
Yeah, that bit was pretty
That was like,
terrible.
Come on, you couldn't have thought of anything else. I don't know how hard you'd grip onto a grenade. It's not like a bit of candy, like, oh, it's out of my hand. Boom.
That's what I hate about my zombie films, though.
What?
That you just have armed troops who don't know how to shoot something in the head, and they just, you know, out of everyone in society, it's the guy who's just a single dad or whatever, protecting his family, who knows how to be disciplined and keep calm. But the soldiers,
I think somebody in command, though, when he actually gets to the house where the thing his kids held up, and somebody counted that he was shot at 180 times, and he never got hit. Like he was just pung pung pung, but all these soldiers in command were shooting him, and somebody counted 180 shots and not one hit him. All these ridiculous. Nobody could hit him. Oh god, I should watch that again. Actually, I like that film. I worry if I'm going to watch any films now, I'm going to get offended by the politics of the time. We were just talking about was it on the podcast before? Kerem's going through the he's doing Salad Partridge. He's going through all the. He said
he's got a rape count.
Only live once. Oh no, it's only lived twice. That was an earlier film, Only Live Once. But yeah, oh no, yeah. So that's
when they surgically do him up to be an Asian gentleman.
That's a bit unfortunate.
James Bond.
James Bond. There's a bit where he has surgery.
Which James Bond?
You Only Live Twice.
No, who?
Connery.
Sean Connery. Sean Connery has surgery to make him that's like a Japanese man.
Is it offensive?
It's weird.
It's not great.
And you're like, because all he has stuff down his eyes. And you're like,
but it's also like they have him. I'm not sure if it's surgery or if it's just elaborate makeup because he doesn't.
That's surgery
because he's the rest of because he goes back.
He does go back, so it might be makeup.
But it's just a very strange premise that like, we need to make him look Japanese so he can blend into this Japanese village where everyone is one of our own operatives because it's the Japanese Secret Service. And that we're going to get him to go on a fishing boat to this volcano island. Yeah, he's a foot taller than everyone else.
They shoot anyone who goes near anyway. Yeah. They're killing all the fish.
He's got a Scottish accent.
It's an exclusion zone.
Yeah, it makes no sense. You go, why did he? And then immediately they capture him and go,
oh god.
Why has this white guy got?
They're like, hang on a sec.
Why has he got Mr. Spock eyebrows on?
Yeah, Jesus.
You know, it's really bad.
Yeah, he looks more like Mr. Spock than anything. It's really odd.
God. Yeah, I was hoping it would be so bad it wouldn't be offensive. It'd just be
that's
awful.
what they do in Team America, the transmogrification, where they
glue loads of hair to his face.
Oh, hair to his face. Have you seen the recent James Bond?
The new one.
Yeah.
No.
Have you not seen it? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Also, the ending. What do you think about the ending without giving it away?
I thought that was fine.
Yeah,
I thought it felt like that was an appropriate ending for the story, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, Kerem's looking inquisitive. You should watch it. Yeah, it's not too bad.
I just haven't been to the cinema since BC.
BC. Go on, what's BC?
Before COVID.
Oh, yeah. I knew there'd be.
I'm trying to introduce it.
BCD. What is the Latin of it? Anno Domini?
So it's before Christ or Anno Domini. So in the year of our Lord.
Oh, so BC is
before Christ.
Oh, it is that. I thought that was a.
Now it's more common to use because obviously we don't live in a religious society, although much of our things are based on Christianity. So you would say things like before the Christian era, and then it's ACE is after the Christian era.
Oh, and so Christmas Day is nothing to do with Jesus' birthday, is it? It's just chosen to be.
It's a plants a pagan, as many do. It's a plants a pagan festival.
So it's an arbitrary date.
Yes, I think the general consensus is that Jesus was actually born sometime in September, I think.
March. I've heard a few different...
But yeah, they just chose that because it replaced a pagan festival.
What are you doing for Christmas?
All things being not locked down, going home.
Oh, right, yeah, lockdown. So what's home? Brighton.
Brighton, yeah.
Oh, Charles, what are you?
Yeah,
up to?
getting the family round.
Where's this? West Beach or?
At home. Just in Reading.
Oh, Reading. That's it. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. This is right. Omicron.
What's that?
Omicron. Omicron.
Omicron
is the
I
next.
was thinking, what's he talking about?
Well, it's
just,
the new
What's
strain
this?
of COVID.
You got to remember, I don't know these.
Okay, you might have heard about this thing called COVID.
Yeah.
Right. And this has been.
I thought it was a robot you were going to talk about something. Like
well, this is the new variant.
Right. Okay.
That's
in England.
that they've just unveiled yesterday. They had a big rollout. They were all on.
Did they have a curtain that they
Prime Minister came on.
curtain?
Prime Minister came on and talked about it. He goes,
Oh, he did.
It's a great new product. We've got the best variants.
Yeah.
You folks, you're gonna love this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. We're all gonna have one.
It's the best. It's the biggest. Everyone's saying
Yeah,
it.
500% transmissibility over the last variant. Everyone's gonna get it. It's gonna be great.
So it just started the last, because I don't watch the news. Says it just started the last week or something. Somebody over here just caught it.
Well, they identified it a few days ago in South Africa. Since then, yesterday they announced 2 cases in the UK, some cases in Belgium, Germany, Czech Republic, I think Austria this morning. The Netherlands, it believes that they probably are about to announce them. So
You think us being a sort of island, we'd have a buffer again, but it's nothing. It just crosses, doesn't it?
well, it's international travel. This is the thing.
But you think they'd be doing something like?
Well, they've closed direct. I think they've stopped direct flights to South Africa, and they have reintroduced quarantines and testing and blah blah blah. But it's already here. The fact that we have 2 confirmed cases already in this country means that it's probably
it's
already
done.
here.
There you go.
Yeah. And I've been on the tube today, and no one was wearing masks, and everyone was coughing and spluttering. And I was just like, oh.
I wonder if people just going, sod you, I'm not doing all that again. Just I'm getting on with it. I'm not listening to anything. You're up and down, left and right. We're just.
Well,
I think there's an element of that.
Yeah, this is why there's been such a lot of unhappiness and riots across Europe, like because of this, because they've been announcing lockdowns and similar things.
If he does another speech in a week and says, right, we're going to lockdown, do you think people just go, no? We will go back into the normal.
Depends on what the numbers are.
Because there's a lot of anger about. There wasn't before. They didn't have that. It was a new thing. I think people now just going, sod you. There's more of us than.
I think you're right. I think the patience is going to go. I think more and more people will openly not do it and openly not support it, or
even be able to afford it. Because if you've come through one, if you've just scraped through, all the chaff has been knocked off, and then you're going to do it again, people just go, can't do it now. Done. Yeah. That's it. Done.
I mean,
the ones that are going to follow, we just go, can't do it.
You're going to kill off.
Whatever's left.
Any businesses and things. I mean, there's bigger concerns, but you're going to kill off a lot of bars and restaurants and shops and whatever, independent sellers. Anyone who's not online, basically, you're probably going to finish them off now.
They were just crawling it with just a gun behind the back of the right. This will do.
Yeah.
How does the country cope? I don't.
Well, this is the trouble: is you have to do this by consent, and there has to be public support behind this.
Yeah.
It depends. If we get to the point where there's again like 2,000 people dying a day, I think that people will accept it, hopefully, but I think,
not as many as before.
No, you're right. I think there's going to be more and more people. There's going to be more and more people pushing back on this because eventually, I mean, I don't want another lockdown. I'm bored of it. I'm tired of this, man. I do want to get on with my life. I was thinking it's nearly been 2 years. I mean, it's coming up to March. It's nearly been 2 years of this, man. And like, I just want to get it finished and done. And it looks like it never will be. And we're just in this forever cycle right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's what I was saying last year. I thought I could. I hope that this wouldn't be the case, that we get everyone vaccinated, we get back to some semblance of normality, that a new strain comes out, we have to hunker down again, get the vaccine again, and we all sort of stick our heads out the parapet and go, all right, into the light and think, okay, cool, back to normal. Another one. We need to sort of think, there needs to be more of a plan. And the trouble is, of course, people in charge right now, they're not into planning.
It's the worst of all scenarios. You haven't got anybody, it's quite chaotic what's going on. Plus, you've got people that you don't trust that are all over the place.
Well, people's utterly incompetent. Yeah. I mean, Sleepy Joe, I don't think he's a bad dude necessarily, but like he's sleepy as hell. Like he's a very sleepy man. Like, I'd love to have a little nap with him. He just.
You'd like to have a little nap with him?
Yeah, a little nap. He'd be like sleeping. I could just nestle up next to him and just fall asleep. We'd be like a bunch of kittens in a box. It'd be great.
Just enjoy watching him sleep. A long earned rest.
Yeah.
That was a horrifying insight and mental image.
What was horrifying is I got an insight that that Boris speech that happened.
Yeah.
Peppa Pig and
Peppa Pig.
Jesus.
And he started just going, "Forgive me,
Yeah.
forgive me,
Oh,
forgive me."
I
I
suppose he didn't speak any Latin accidentally under his breath.
that was the subconscious bit. I suddenly got a glimpse into his personal life, and I just thought, yes, he obviously says, "Forgive me."
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, Boris has been a very naughty boy."
oh God.
Oh,
In times of
naughty
stress,
Boris.
his brace-
Oh,
yeah.
oh, forgive me, baby.
Just even that though, you just go. Oh, it's just so embarrassing. It's everywhere. It's just idiots and like comical, like
buffoons.
Yeah, just being manipulated. I suppose Trump's keeping his head down. He's just thinking,
I don't know what
leave my money alone.
I saw he gave an interview with Fox News last week, a week and a half ago. Same crap.
Everything he does fails.
He's the greatest man who ever lived. Communist. Everyone's a communist and they're a traitor.
Because a couple of his lot have got what do they call it when they pull you in to speak?
Subpoenaed.
Yeah, again, Roger Stone's. He's got to go and speak again. But he already said no the last time, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
He got arrested. I think,
yeah, then Trump 3 days later went, "Nah, he's all right."
No, he got arrested for not. Who did?
Yeah, Roger Stone got. He didn't. He was
Bannon, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
both of them.
Subpoena.
Yeah, but he didn't come for his. I think when he was called, so they.
But it was just the fact that
him, yeah.
Roger Stone got done on like 17 different counts, and then Trump went, "Nah, he's off." Just like, no, he's got done for it. Nah, he's all right. Let him go. It's in a funny way. I mean, it's like I'm saying to reset is a good thing, which it isn't. But in a weird way, the fact that Trump, the most powerful man of the thing, which obviously the money's more important, that when it really came to like he was going to cause major problems to the system, they just called him up and said, "Sod off and keep your head down." And he just went, "Okay, yeah, everyone at the Capitol, yeah, go home now." Because he said, "Oh, right," even the greed of the money, all the weight of them, the Democrats, all came together and said, "Get out! Like, shut up and make a vote and get out."
I think that's probably an actual lawyer, not Rudy Giuliani, saying, "Mr. Trump, as your legal counsel or whatever, or as the lawyer for the Republican Party, perhaps someone went, this isn't your bullshit.
Yeah.
People are tearing down, people are rioting in the Capitol, and you are very likely to go unless you."
This is looking like a coup.
Yeah,
this is starting. Yeah, if you start,
somebody's called up with Stone or someone and said, "Listen, they've just called me and they said you better call them up," because no way he did that of his own. I mean, he wasn't sort of slightly convinced. He must have been told, "Knock this on the head now." And
he did used to renege on some stuff because he just used to like shoot his mouth off and say the first thing that comes into his head. And every now and then he'd just literally have to go. He'd be marched out 2 hours later because he'd say, "Oh yeah, maybe we could nuke China. I don't know, like they're very nasty people." And he goes, "Yes, no, we will not be nuking."
Yeah.
Like so, obviously there was some kind of. He did get a phone.
Did you watch?
And there was stuff about guns. I remember they after one shooting actually said, "This is crazy. The people dying in the streets. We need to stop the automatic weapons. We need to. This is nuts. The kids are dying in the schools.
Yeah.
And then literally like a couple of hours later, he's like, "No, we got no. More guns, less rules. That's the only thing." Yeah.
He opens his big mouth and somebody has to come and knock him on the head and say, "Right, go back out." And
someone else correct it.
Did you watch the documentary about the attack on the Capitol that was on the BBC?
I recommend it.
It's quite a good one.
Yeah, I recommend it.
I only saw it like 3 days ago, and I thought, I don't want to watch this. Like, this, people getting their asses kicked, and I felt bad and speaking to the people. I thought, no, you should watch things like this.
It was mad, that battle in the tower. In the tunnel, sorry.
Yeah,
the guy getting pulled out.
Yeah,
when it got
all
to
of
the point
that,
of pulling them out.
Yeah, but it was just like, Jesus, when's the, it's this Saruman has sent his, it was like the Battle of Helm's Deep.
There's no sense. There's no sense of like, they're fighting for something. You're going, no, this is a load of people with mental health problems.
Yeah.
That's all this is, like people with mental health problems.
I think one of my favourite bits in that was just like, just a classic kind of no-nonsense, was the police chief in his uniform, like he'd been there since like 3 a.m. or whatever like that, been in the thick of the fighting, comes out, was just like, takes his hat off, dusts it off, puts his hat back on. You don't want to go into battle with your hat
British of him,
dusty...
pulls his socks up and goes,
straightens his uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want to go have to punch a redneck in the face with your hat on at the wrong angle.
And the Cowboys for Trump guy, he was like, "We're a peaceful movement. We never did anything wrong. We were there to calm everything down, and it was the police who escalated." And then they cut to loads of clips of him going, "Gotta kill them all."
Yeah. Oh God. That's another one for Trump. But that's another. How many podcasts have we done with Trump? I mean,
too many.
There was a thicket of Trump podcasts there for a while.
Have you heard about the QAnon people in Dealey Plaza?
No.
Is this where JFK and JFK Jr. are coming back?
Yes. There is a group of Q people who they're still there, by the way.
Oh, are they?
3 weeks later, they've set up a little camp in the square where President Kennedy was assassinated. Several hundred QAnon people, these weird Trump cultists, have set up a little shanty town because they're waiting for JFK Senior and Junior to come back from the dead.
What are QAnon? I don't know what they are.
It is a weird cult, like
is it a believe anything
theory
conspiracy
about the satanic
paedophile
baby eating ring. Yes, it does, because
so just anything that's anything that feeds what they need to.
So from their perspective, so essentially the world is run by a secretive cabal of paedophiles.
Who eat babies?
Who eat babies, and also who rape children and eat babies and drink their blood and whatnot. And that Donald Trump is waging a secret war against them.
Oh, against QAnon?
Yeah, no, against the
oh, right, he's their lord.
He's the good guy.
Yeah. And so,
and he went undercover with Jeffrey Epstein to get more information.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is something simple.
Just to finish up, that yes, basically there is now a self-proclaimed leader of this group.
Oh, is there?
Yes, he's set himself up. It turns out he's a neo-Nazi, and who knew? And he has set himself up. Last week he declared himself to be Jesus, and Trump was God. And then there were lots of people having convulsions and stuff in front of him, and and also now he is saying he's bought some land in Waco.
Oh God!
And he's telling everyone that they should come down. And also he's started to announce, some of his followers, I don't think he has, but some of his followers have announced that the only way to get to the real truth, the only way for Trump to enlighten you and to give you the real truth is to die. It's when you die. So sort of encouraging his followers to kill themselves.
Well, because there's a whole element, ironically, when they're talking about the shape-shifting lizards, but there's this irony that they always just seem to change whatever. So, Trump was going to get reinstated in that. Actually, when the election happened, it was all going to be Trump. That then actually, once it turned out that Biden was inaugurated, that actually he had swapped places with Biden, been surgically altered to look like Biden, and he was now still president.
The only thing about the documentary when Trump was suddenly buckled down under the pressure, went, "Oh, you've got to go home." And everyone's like, "What? I don't know what to do here now. What are we doing?"
Well, that was interesting. People, there was a sort of, I mean, it died down for a little bit, and I believe it's now back in force, QAnon. But there was a bit where all these people were going, "Oh, but I thought Trump was going to be president forever."
Where is he? Didn't he say he's going to walk with us?
And almost,
you turned off.
But just this idea of like, oh, maybe some of the stuff about shape-shifting lizard paedophile Satanists, it wasn't always 100% correct. There's also, so for example, obviously Pizzagate was kind of one of the very early QAnon things where it was in the basement of this restaurant that Hillary had been to, which I can't remember that actually she ever had been in there, but that was it
was lots of leading Democrats. I think.
And basically in the basement was where they were murdering all the children. And so this guy went in there, shot up the place. I think he injured people. I don't think anyone was killed.
I think he just put a couple of bullets in the wall.
And then ran to this thing that he was convinced, and he kicked open. It was just the store cupboard. But then people are saying, oh no, he was a false actor and all that footage is fake. And actually is a different, it changes to the thing.
Come up with something that's a bit more like they don't even play by the rules of conspiracy. Pizza Hut, just say something else. Make it military base.
But it's also exactly. Make it, but it's because it's I think a lot of it is not necessarily mentally ill people, but although that is a great swathe of it, but it's also people who don't have any kind of direction necessarily or purpose in their life, or don't feel that they have that.
It's this bloody thing of just being, if information's been filtered to that information to those people and that information to those people. It's so dangerous. Like, you're literally hypnotizing people. That's what, there's a guy I know, and it was just a small thing. So we all know social media gives you what you want and it feeds that, and that's why literally divide and conquer. That's what they figured out. And there was a guy, he said, we was talking about social media, and he went, he said, I get 2 or 3 times a week, I get emails on the Facebook thing, or messages, and it says about black people getting COVID because of this, and this. He said, "Do you get any?" I was like, "No." I thought, you forget until you hear that. It's that specific. I literally get stuff saying about black people getting COVID because, or not COVID, whatever it was. Not. I thought, oh, that's just a little reminder. That's how specific it is. Like, black people, oh no, just for you. Don't worry about him. He's not going to get them because there's no point. It's just for you.
Well, they can. That's one of the great successes, and that's why social media is so popular with advertisers, because they can micro target you.
Yeah. Well, this is what he said before. Yeah. That they could turn your parents. You can get that close. Not forget the group. It's not, they can get into your family and split the family open. Well, and that's why I don't understand why it's not taken more serious.
Well, this QAnon thing, that's the same thing. It's literally like it's shattered people's families. And like there was one story, and this woman was she'd left her kids and her husband, and she's just in the Dealey Plaza just waiting, and she says, I'm not leaving until John Kennedy comes back and reveals himself to not be dead. And it's just like,
yeah. I suppose it's also we've kind of become weird that no one wants to admit that they're wrong, or that they made a mistake, or that they were misled, which is quite easy.
Or the fact if you're only listening to certain types of information, and which they show a doctor and all that, but the doctor might just be made up, but you don't know that. And again, you keep getting, you go, well, the dangerous thing is, in their world, they're right, you are wrong, and you're trying to convince them. It's not that they're stupid, you don't know anything, and they're trying to help you, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's decided. There was one of Obama, and he was like cuddling with a little girl in the jet. You go, not very secretive paedophile cult if they're just releasing these pictures. The thing, but it was everyone saying, look at him cuddling. It was like, and then everyone went, that's his niece. And they went, well, it doesn't matter that it's his niece. It just shows that he's like, it shows
rubbing
what
it in
that he
our
likes.
faces.
Yeah, I never understood the thing of a doctor. Yeah, but there's a doctor online that said blah blah blah. I go, but surely your brain must go, right, but there's 20,000 doctors that say, why are you picking the one? What if the 20,000 agreed with you when the other one didn't? Would you account
Same
that
thing with climate change. I mean, there's like 100,000 studies and scientists and all these people saying that it's real, and then you've got like 5 who say that,
and I'm going to believe the 5. Yeah. And they obviously said the oil. They work for the oil company in the cigarette.
Or you've got lunatics like Piers Corbyn.
Yeah,
who looks like he should be pushing a trolley filled with bags of his own poop down the street. Like
I'm sure he does on the Sunday.
Probably, he's just completely deranged. But he's just one of these people that's just anti everything. Whatever gets me on the news, because then he's anti-vax.
And another little simple thing that popped up this week actually was I was listening to a podcast with Stephen Fry, and it was just something he'd met someone and they said something. And I thought, oh God, I suddenly got it, and it was so strange. He was talking about the fact of Jewish people being treated like they weren't human, and you've heard that 1,000 times. And it was only when this thing was said where I thought, oh right, I sort of get it now. He said he once met a woman, and she was 15 in the concentration camps, and she was relaying the story that she was there one day, and she was there her and her friend were picking lice out of each other's hair in the camp, and she was 15, and she was a musician, and she just got a tap on the shoulder from one of the guards to say, Joseph Mengele is here and he wants to see you. And the guy said, Stephen Fry said, my stomach stung because she said,
that's not what you want.
You don't want to hear those
that's
words.
Not what you
And he said, come in, and there's in the corner of them, there was like a cello, and he knew, so he pointed towards it. He said, what can you play? And she said something, and she played it. Anyway, this is Stephen Fry saying what this woman said to him, and she's an old woman, and she said, and then I played it, and it was fine. And he then pointed me to leave the room. And Stephen Fry said, did he say thank you or anything, like jokingly? And she said, oh, you silly boy. She said, and this is what got me. She said, do you say thank you to your washing machine or your kettle? She said, that's what you don't understand. She said, you silly boy, you don't understand that we weren't human. They're not treating us like we weren't human. To them, we were not human. But the fact is, no, you have to reference that. Would you say thank you to your washing machine? That's what that we're nothing. They're not pretending. We are nothing to them. I thought, oh Christ, that's like a thing, isn't it?
Well, good transition there to the awful story this week.
What was this?
About all the deaths across the channel, the boat.
Bloody hell. What do you?
Yeah, it's been a real humdinger of a week. Yeah.
You think every time I go to,
but again, the language, same thing as the language used against, with these people, it's appalling.
So if anybody doesn't know, that 27 people drowned crossing the Calais to get to England.
Yeah.
It's you keep going to go, why don't they do this? And you have to remind yourself that the people in charge don't want things to be fixed the way you want. They want things to stay where they are, living where they are with their investment. They don't want to fix things.
100%.
So you don't go, well, why don't they? Why would they go against their interests? They're fine now. They don't want to rock the boat. But yes, I think it got hit by another boat, didn't it? That was it. One of the
I think
cruiser got hit, and that's why it went down.
Freight,
but kids and women and blah blah blah, and like, oh Jesus Christ. So I was going to say why again, pointless, but you'd sort of think if you was to look back at a good model, do what America did. Say, right, we're going to suck up all the immigrants and we're going to have a beacon. We're going to become a beacon of different cultures. We're going to see a problem and not try to fix it. We're going to actually try and welcome it in and make it a Great Britain that you could sort of, if you had the right people in charge.
Bring me your poor,
as much
your
as we
hungry,
can.
your huddle masses.
Come in. Yeah. We're gonna put masses of things and bring us your best. Get your doctors in, and let's have it an amazing thing. And bring your family, which you could there's enough room in the country if they sorted out the greenery to get away from the Queen. But that would work. But then you go, we're just making shit up because people that are in power like where they are. So why would they rock the boat?
Exactly.
Everything is PR to keep you where you are.
They're disincentivized to actually do anything about this. And this will be. I mean, I think that I thought when the COVID thing came along yesterday, I thought, I bet the right-wing papers are a bit annoyed because I'm sure that the immigration and the talk around that will probably be the talk of the next election, and that will be the issue that the next election is probably fought around. Is that we have to do something about this crisis. Why isn't anyone doing anything about it? Even though you've been in power for 12 years now, 11 years.
This is how nonsense. I spoke to a guy 25 years ago, and he was saying, we was talking about money and things about the country, and he said, when I was growing up, there was programs on the radio, and they were complaining about immigration, tax, and this NHS thing. It's just nothing. It's just eventually go, this record is just on loop, and it just gets handed down to the next generation week on week. The same questions, the same answers, just change a few of the words. You go, hang on, is this a broken record? Have we got to do something serious here?
I've seen, because we've got a house down by the coast. It's literally right on the beach, lovely place. But I remember even when I was young, I remember about 8 or 9. I've seen it quite a few times, maybe half a dozen times, maybe more. At night, you'd see a little dinghy coming in on the beach, pitch black, and then a Land Rover or a car will pull up in the sand dunes, flash, flash back, and then some people will get off the thing and just run into the dunes into a car and drive off. I mean, that's been going on forever. And it was going on since forever, and people are smuggling and stuff, and people coming in illegally, and it will carry on.
Just look at those few poor people there. Forget about the tens of millions and millions of pounds being siphoned out over here. Literally, that's what it is.
It was to sideline the corruption thing, honestly. And a lot of these people, of course, are fleeing Afghanistan, because guess what? We pulled Afghanistan
just to add another cherry on the cake. Oh, and they're fleeing because of what we do.
Because of the screw up of the war that we started.
Yeah.
And it's having a knock-on effect to everything else.
This is why I keep saying, eventually you've got to pull people out of buildings. You're not gonna get the record to skip. It's not gonna come off the groove. You've got to do something major. And every generation, you're kicking the can down the road to the next generation until you do something. There was about 3 weeks ago. I didn't, for some reason my phone went, that was it. It slipped down the phone. I usually listen to podcasts, but it slipped down the thing. I thought I was sitting in traffic, so I couldn't get it out. So I just put the radio on. It was some radio show. And somebody was speaking halfway through the day. And I just listened to about 15 seconds of it. Just I can't even remember who the politician was. Somebody, and they'd cut to it and they were speaking. And just the snippet that I listened to was somebody saying nothing. It was literally a vacuous statement after a vacuous. There was nothing. It was to make the thing better, to improve the system of the thing. I thought, you're saying this is a party. This is nothing. You've actually, like, people are listening to you say nothing. You're not talking like a human being. You're just saying words that mean nothing. So how is this a statement? Well, did you improve the system? We're going to look forward to the. What are you talking about?
Did you see the Prime Minister's speech yesterday? Well, same thing. So I just thought, literally, I was listening to the football. I was listening to Reading win this week.
Oh,
yeah, I know. I was quite surprised. Even I was.
That's the real story.
I know. Yeah. Especially they conceded like first 2 minutes, so then ended up winning 3-2. So, and then like near the end, they're like, "Oh, the prime ministers, they've just announced a press conference, so we're going to cut at 5:00." And I was like, "Oh, god damn it!" No, I almost felt for a second, I almost felt a little nostalgic. I was like, "Oh, I remember those. Yeah, I remember huddled round in the family watching these doom-laden things, all the graphs of deaths and stuff." But yeah, he didn't say anything. He just said, "Oh, maybe we're going to do some stuff."
They should just get, like, as a trick, some radio show, just get a speech from the 50s and say, "Oh, and here's the so-and-so prime minister," and put it on, and it would be, you know, Britain and the safer for our families, and, you know, the more economically viable. And you go, just nothing, nothing, not doing anything, just saying.
Waffle.
You eventually have to sort of pull yourself out and go, "Oh, I actually live in a world of propaganda. Like, this is what the Germans felt like. They didn't know. They just didn't know." And you go, "Oh, this is we're actually in propaganda. It is full-on propaganda. Everything stays the same for them, and everything gets worse for us. Like, we're in propaganda. That's all they do, propaganda."
Yeah, this guy did something like that. But basically, he replaced. He was doing a debate online with some right-wing dude, and he came up with all these quotes about sort of He said they were about Mexican people. So, they're coming over here taking our jobs, and they don't integrate, and they don't speak language and stuff.
It's Top Gear.
And the guy's like, yeah. He goes, "Do you agree with all these statements?" Yeah. And he goes, "Okay, well, all these were said about German people
right,
in 1840, and then Irish people,
Yeah.
and then, you know, they don't integrate, and they're just coming here to invade, and, you know, and you can't. It's like I'm not even knowing my own town anymore. You know,
it's
just
like constantly pointing other people.
People have been saying this forever, and people have been saying this. There's some wonderful quotes about the Huguenots coming over in the French sort of Protestants coming over.
Oh, right, okay.
Escaping the French Civil War, I think it was. And same thing. They said exactly. They're coming over here taking our jobs, and they're not learning. It's just like,
so philosophically, do you think anything? What changes, Charles? Is there nothing on, even as a positive look? Nothing is actually going to change. There's no light on the horizon. The internet, I feel, has nudged it. You know, now people can see things a bit more. That's all there is, though. There's nothing actually on the horizon, other than we can start to see them a little bit. They're starting to slip because of the age difference. They don't know what other people can sort of see of them. They're still stuck in their ways.
There's still plenty of young Nazis, though, out there. Like, I see a lot of young, very far right guys and young.
So politics is going to say that it is.
People keep falling for the same crap.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that's what I mean.
We won't get fooled again. Well, it turns out we do.
Yeah.
Like, frequently,
Definitely.
for the same crap over and over again.
Yeah, everyone complains. Everyone said, but nothing actually. They're just complaining. And just smarter ways. And now with social media, I mean, that's the thing. It's actually getting worse, because it's not getting better. It's getting worse, because now you never had parents arguing with kids in the way they're hating each other. Like, they've actually
I don't know, because like the 60s, I mean, America's. I hear a lot of hyperbole about America saying, "Well, this is a civil war. We're in a civil war. America's never been so divided." And then I look back at like the stuff in the 60s and 70s when they were literally shooting people on college campuses for protesting against a dreadful, genocidal, awful war. I don't think things. I think. America thrives, well, not thrives. America kind of does thrive, I suppose, in that kind of Machiavellian kind of internal conflict to the Roman Empire. It kind of thrives on this internal conflict to, sort of.
We've always more or less had two parties, so that sort of says same as, because you've always had 50% of the 49% hating the 51%, and so it sort of is still the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. And any positive words about future politics?
I think the thing is, you can't take a narrow view and just say, "Oh, it's not going to change." It's like, "Oh, this is going to be like that." It's like, well, that's only been around for this amount of time. This idea of modern democracy has been around for less than 100 years.
So there is nothing on the horizon.
It's always a system of checks and balances, and one step forward, two steps back, and sometimes it's two steps back, and other times it's three steps. It doesn't. Nothing goes up in a narrow. Like you things get better and they get worse. And
it's not a straight line between the.
We went from Brack to Trump. You were going the right way, and then it just slid back.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is that's how it works. For example, you had the long what was it called? The long 19th century, which was a period of warfare, but also the Industrial Revolution, which obviously did improve many people's lives. But then the long term impact of that is what we're seeing now. You can't just, for example, it's the idea of Scott. You've got to look at things at a lot longer time period than perhaps we look at it, and we say, "Oh, it's much worse than this." For example, Scottish independence. People say, "Oh, we're stronger together, we're better together, we've been united for so long." It's like, Not actually. No,
Wait,
we've been separate countries and enemies for a lot longer than we have been united, and we were united by kings, not because of some kind of common will.
Politically, you've both done the thing of there is no answer right now.
No, but also because it's it's imagining that somehow we're all going to live to see this improvement in 100 years.
Where has there been revolutions where they've actually gone and grabbed people? What was the French one?
That was just a bunch of people killing. I mean,
what was the family?
Well, there was the Bourbons.
Marionettes or something like that.
The what, sorry?
Marionettes or something?
No, that's a puppet. That's
no, it's not. What were the French ones where it just got ridiculous, the amount of money and wealth they was...
Oh, what?
Marie Antoinette.
Yeah. Let them eat cake. Yeah,
but she never said that. That was something Rousseau wrote about before.
That lot pulled out the...
Yeah, but then they all turned on each other.
The Borgias, French?
No, they were Italians, and they just. Oh. The thing is that most bloody revolutions just end up with everyone slaughtering everyone until one fat pig. They've just replaced one fat pig in a cloak with one fat pig in a uniform.
Well, somebody said that recently about the Russians when the wall fell. It just replaced itself. That humans just replaced themselves all over again with the same sort of hierarchy.
Yeah, I mean, the people who run Russia now are just rich people. You know, they're essentially if you just put Baron in front of their name or no, Count, isn't it in Russia? They don't. It tends to be the aristocracy, not Baron. If you just call them Count or Grand Duke or whatever, they'd be exactly the same. You know, Putin is the Tsar.
Just
essentially,
human beings. They keep doing just in the same systems.
Well, no, because if you're at the top, you just want to be rich. You know,
it was like the Tahrir Square. What was that? Iran? No,
Tahrir Square, wasn't that Egypt? No,
Egypt. Yeah. And then they went out. Then it was like the army took over.
Well, the Muslim Brotherhood moved in.
It's just the same.
They went, actually, we don't like these people that are democratically elected.
Oh, God.
So,
right, let's end on something nice. What are you doing this week? Anything special? Are you doing more script? Are you doing more script work?
Yeah, just working and writing. Yeah.
Do you do multiple scripts at a time ever? Oh, you do? I've heard of this, but I thought, well, surely that's counterintuitive. Don't you sort of focus on the one thing?
No, because it's quite handy if you've got, say, for example, you're stuck on an idea.
Yeah.
You can go away, because it's always quite good to just step away from work.
Yeah.
But you can move on to the other thing, and then you don't have the guilt of thinking, oh, I'm not being productive and putting pressure on yourself to write something.
Do you like one a week or one a day? Like, how does it work when you've got multiple?
Depends on
Doesn't
your mood.
matter.
Yeah. Depends what's kind of taking you by them.
It's often nice to have a bit of distance sometimes, because sometimes you can be just banging your head against like a script or whatever for a long time, and then you need to take a break and then come at it with fresh eyes, because you can't see the wood for the trees sometimes, really.
Yeah.
Talking of podcasting. So this is our last show together before we move to the new place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're interviewing Joe on the founder of Reebok this Wednesday, and that's the last show. Then we're all going to sort of come in and roll our sleeves up and pack things and pass.
You're putting us to work, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah. When's that? So that's the weekend after. So we're not doing a show that week. I have to let everybody down. I'm sure everybody online will be annoyed by not hearing my voice. Oh dear, I'm been chastised online. Well, somebody said to me, "Friction's good online because it's actually better than just all good or all bad. You need the sort of." Was it any good?
Show some's watching, I guess.
People have been commenting on us. Has anybody said anything? Oh, you don't know. Did anybody say anything nice?
I didn't look at it.
Kerem oh no,
Kerem's confirmed.
Kerem, you could have at least gone on there yourself and posted something just to balance it out of it. I did say to him it was probably Charles and Andrew the ones.
So, do you not know about this then, Charles? So, on one of our YouTube videos, I believe it was the interview with Jules
Guides,
that someone said that Theo interrupts too much.
Apparently not just one person either.
Oh, is it not? Is it a couple of people?
No, it's like a...
Is it a stream of different... Oh, we need to... I didn't realise that.
It's like a comment with like 100 replies.
Can you comment on your own...
Yeah.
feed or whatever you call it.
Yeah, but it does show that if you comment from that account, it'll show you that you.
No, I don't mind about that. I might say something. I don't want to get in an argument because I
don't get into it. You can't win.
Don't be like writing rude stuff about like because.
Can I read some of them?
Oh yes, please, absolutely. Kerem is going to read some.
I don't know if we're going to hear anything though.
I can share. Like Jules, thanks for the interview. Bit of a train wreck of an interview, talking over each other.
Me, hi.
So for people, if people couldn't quite hear that, basically saying that they like Jules, but it was a bit of a train wreck of an interview.
Well, it wasn't an interview,
yeah.
So that's point one. That's down. That doesn't.
I think we do probably describe them as interviews.
No, I don't. Even when I contact them, I say, look, it's not an interview. We're just having a chat. So just turn up here. We're going to chat for an hour. That's it. I actively don't use the word interview.
Kerem, hit us again.
Why are these interviewers always want to talk about themselves?
Hi. That's me.
So why do these interviewers always want to talk about
a lot to say.
And that's it. That has a lot of like answers underneath as well. Like
Yes, thumbs up.
I can't.
That's the most liked.
Is there anything remotely nice? Well, it's just all evil.
Someone says one of the best.
Ah, thank you. No.
Do you think that when they said one of the best, that might be about Jules?
Yeah.
Great guest.
Great guest.
So they're actively working around the...
They're just like,
they could have said great show.
No. They were like, I'll pick out the positives.
Yeah.
Out of the 3 people on this, one of them was quite good, and it's not the permanent member.
Who kicked it off? Who was the person to kick it all off? Who started the...
Let's not start. You know, you can
shame them. Is that it? Shaming, online shaming.
I don't think they're the one that's shamed in this scenario.
I'm glad that they used the word interview, because that immediately shows they haven't got the idea. This is a chat. It's not an interview. It's not an interview at all. We don't interview people.
No, not really.
It's a conversation. That's what we might have to put that in the heading. This is not an interview.
We do conversations, don't we?
Do like an 80s TV, the not interview show.
The not interview show.
Yeah, like a 1980s comedy sort of. I watched. I don't want to go into it. We'll end on this just to get off that thing. Okay. I watched the young ones. You know and you go, what was going on there? They were using. I mean, this cutaway stuff was so just odd. You think, how did that get onto TV? That is a couple of kids at school.
Yeah, being naughty, basically.
And they even do the thing of using, do you remember the flash imagery? They'd use a couple of those just
subliminal messages.
Yeah, just, well, you can't see. And I thought, well, I'm not pausing it. But I just thought, I don't know what that was. They were all sort of like, they weren't, but it's like everyone was coked up and there was no script. They're just sort of banging around, jumping.
I think sort of the 80s was a very experimental time for
yeah, there's a lot of Thatcher, Sod Thatcher sort of.
Yeah, anything that's got what's his face, Alexei Sayle in it.
Oh yeah, he was just, I don't know what that was. Any scene he was in. He'd just come in as a character and then jump out and start talking to doing the stand-up.
Sing a song about Dr. Martin Boots.
Yeah, and then they'd throw in a band. And it was so weird.
Lemmy on it, didn't they? Yeah.
Because they'd be going, oh, there's something about noise. And they go, oh, we're not making any noise. Now they're making noise. And then they just play a band.
It was very, anarchic, I think I'd say.
Yeah. But you think of all the people like Adrian Edmondson and Rick Mail and Ben Elton and like what's his name you just mentioned?
The Others.
Yeah, and the others. But I thought, wow, that's quite
Nigel Planer.
Yeah, and the cool one.
I forgot his name now.
Well, that was quite anarchic. Maybe they probably thought they were going to change the system.
Yeah, he was Little Dave Hedgehog in Bottom, wasn't he?
Little Dave Hedgehog, yeah.
Bottom.
Well, as we've reached the bottom, we've literally reached the bottom. I think we'll end on there. A nice philosophical ending. Sure. So that's the show. So we're back this Wednesday with the founder of Reebok. So that should be interesting. And then we'll have what? Don't you start? What?
Just yeah.
What?
I think we need to start listening to criticism, taking it on board.
No, I'm not listening to criticism at all. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I should sit there and silence. Okay, all right, you get on with it. I'm just going to sit there in silence.
Sulk, are you?
Or I'm going to do a BBC style interview. Right, number 1 question for this interview.
Did you threaten to overrule?
No, my taking on the criticism is to carry on doing exactly what I've done. Until I get some respect.
People say I'm interrupting. Now I'm going to interrupt twice as much.
I'm not even going to let the guests.
And that, ladies and gentlemen,
you hate me now. Feed off of bad energy. Well, I love them all. I love all their comments, and I hope you're all happy in your life. No, I do half mean that. And we'll see you next week.
All right,
cheers.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. You're welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than